Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to do part three. This is the castle piece, at least that's what we're calling it. In the book, it's like I think the third part of the basic parts. But it's a little different because again, this is my own series. We're just going to walk through a lot of these parts, even though they're a little different. We don't want to, copy anyone's work or anything like that. So they're all kind of similar, but not the same. Different materials, different things like that. Like we know from the last video, if you built the whole part and I didn't mention it throughout the whole video, and then you went and checked the volume and mass and properties and all that, and you saw your roofs were off, then you went and checked for the answer. Right below it, it mentions you might not have changed the material. And that's that's a thing. That happened to me on my CSWA in the second part of the basic part building. I built the part right and I got everything right, but in the second portion of that one part where it makes you enter in the more defined measurements, it has you make an edit and also change the material. And I missed the material part, which I thought was crazy because it was one of those things where it changed the material at that section. I didn't know it would do that, but it does things like that. So you need to be paying attention to the little things. And even if the instructor doesn't tell you, or even if the test doesn't make it in big bold letters, read everything, look at the drawing, know what it wants before you submit. So in this one, we're going to highlight it a little bit more. We got the origin here. We got the material brass. Cool. Height, width, length of the part. That's kind of always what you want to start with. If you haven't realized, that's what I've been doing this whole time. You're always going to want to look for those few things because that's going to be the general shape, right? And then the extrusion distance to make it in 3 dimensions. And then you'll polish with all the other things. And we haven't even gotten into fillets yet, and we haven't gotten into camphor and all the other different ways to, if I said that right, I might have said that wrong there, to edit your pieces and change these edges and make things more defined and more fancy is another way to say it. So let's go over to part 1. We're going to get started. We got sketching on the front plane like we've been doing. It's not always going to be on the front plane, but for these ones, we've been consistent. We want to make it obvious that that's what we're looking at. Front plane, so we're drawing on the front plane of our drawing. Sorry, you gotta wait till it kind of loads on your screen to click in SolidWorks. Otherwise, it won't transfer. It'll think you've clicked too soon. Like if you, sometimes you just gotta wait that extra second. And we've mentioned that, and we'll mention it over and over again. No SolidWorks. So, sorry, my dog's barking. One second. Okay, sorry, I had to get the dog. Still a puppy. He's learning. He's a year and 4 month German Shepherd mix, so he thinks he needs to guard the front yard from anyone that even moves. It's kind of hard to break him with that, but got to train your dog. Can't be letting him just bark at anyone. Got to make sure that he knows who to bark at and why he's barking at him. So it's a work in progress. Anyways, back to the part, guys. Let's talk best way to build this. So with symmetric parts, we're going to actually do something the first time we haven't done yet. See how this is, if you cut a line down the middle of it, this will look exactly, it has good symmetry, another way to speak. It's exact and a mirror at a halfway point. So we have this fancy centerline tool. Let's bring this down here. Let's make it 50. And then we're going to control, click both of those, and we're going to make those coincident so that we have a little 50 tall midpoint here. All right. So looking at that, let's draw the basics of what our shape looks like, right? So we'll come out a little bit, come on down a little bit. We know it lines up with that bottom plane, so we'll come out a little bit, come up a little bit, and then if I remember right, it had a little dip, it had a little valley in the center, so we're going to make that. And with the part like this, you don't need to completely fill it in because we're going to do that right now. What you could do before you mirror it, and this would make things a little, I think it still works after you mirror it, but we'll mess with it now. That way we know we're doing it the exact way. Put your dimensions in now, because we're going to mirror this across that center line. So we got 100 wide, 25, so we know 25 and 50 is going to be that. We can assume that from the middle point. We know it's 75 tall, and we got a little 12.5 and a 25 here. So let's put those in. If you guys can remember all that with me, I think I got it. Oh, that's weird. Huh, look at that. I think this was 25 as well. You know, but I remember the whole part being 75. So let's actually get rid of this. Let's make the whole thing 75. Let's see what that does there. It still wants this distance. So you know what? I think this was most likely 25. Let's fiddle around. Let's see what things look like. And we can go back to it in a second. The image is right over there. But on your exam, you want it to look, you know, close. So try to remember those distances and see what you get here. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's go back over. We got a lot of it defined, but we might be wrong on some of it. 25 over, 25 over. We said 75 tall. That's right. It's 50 here. That's the mistake we made. 50 here. And so another 25. 12.5, 25. And if we're assuming 100, 12.5, 25, 12.5 is 50, right? So this distance has got to be 12.5 as well. And you can make some assumptions like that with chain dimensioning as long as you know the overall dimension. So don't hesitate to do that kind of stuff. And you can see it actually already made that dimension because we had the 50 here in most of it here, so it knows how long this is. It just wants to know how tall this is. We said this was 25, which I believe we had right. Yeah, 25, 50, 75. So each step is just another step of the way. So this would technically, no, this is correct. This is correct. It's just this height it needs. Cool. We had it mostly right, guys. We had it mostly right. Oh, this is parallel with this. It might not say it, but you can kind of make that assumption here. It probably should have another one here, or maybe they should say times 3. Some different ways to look at it, but we know it's parallel, so we're going to do that here. If we hit this line, and this is actually something new we can teach you. We've kind of done it before a couple times, but click, control, click. Now you get the properties of these two lines, right? The selected entities, and it's the properties of them. What if we make them horizontal? I might not like that one. Let's try collinear. Because collinear would mean they're linear with each other, but they're just not connected. Look at that, it fully defines it. Cool. Let's grab all of this, and let's mirror entities. New tool for the tool belt. And look, it automatically mirrored over that center line. How cool is that? And the sketch fully defined because it closed it, didn't it? And because it mirrored all these dimensions to this line, to the origin, we're in game. Look at that. Let's extrude that now. And I believe we said the origin was at the center point. And so we're going to extrude it. I think it was 50. Let's give that a try and confirm that it's correct. I already put my part in brass, so you can see the color kind of changed. You might not have noticed that before. 50. Cool. But now we see there's a little opening here, isn't it? One of the best things I can describe, or one of the best tools I can put in your belt, is your mind's eye and also your eye's eye. Always double check your eyes. Put it in ISO. Look at what it looks like, especially in the exam. If you're in the exam and something isn't lining up, check the front view. Go to the front view. Make sure your image matches theirs exactly. Don't make up dimensions like I mentioned in a previous video. I did mention you could make assumptions. Some assumptions that are logical, like this is all linear. If they didn't, put anything else in there that makes sense. So one of the ways you can tell is you make the whole part, and if you make an assumption on a part, make a mental note of it for that first part, because like I said, it's going to give you a 4 choice of options of mass. So if you make a right assumption and you get to the end and you notice that your property matches one of the options down to the double decimal, you probably have it right. You probably made the right assumption. Now, if it doesn't match any of the 4 answers, go back to that mental note you made and double check that assumption and make sure that it is in there and you made the right assumption. And if it's not, maybe that's where you're wrong. So let's move forward. We know we have a cut rectangle out of this area. Since all the dimensions of this designer have been similar before, we can make some assumptions. Like this is probably going to be 25, right? And this edge, because it's 50, is probably going to be 12.5. So those are assumptions you can make as you've worked through a design, because you kind of think of like a painter in their strokes. You know what someone's doing by what what they've done. essentially. You can see how I've done it. It's all kind of in multiples of 5, and it's 10, 100, 70, 50. So if we cut this image out right and we look at it, we kind of know it looks right. If it was like a weird angle and this was a little bit longer than this one proportionally, we would know that it wasn't that same style that we've been following, and you would look for those numbers. But on the fly in an exam, make the numbers quick, then go double check, and you'll often find you're right if you have a good eye for this, especially if you've been, working on things. So in a lot of cases, you could make things faster by going up to surface and clicking. But like we saw in the last video, that can cause errors, so sometimes it is good to... Oh, and I clicked the wrong button. I extruded, didn't I? I wanted extrude cut. So let's back that up, hit the right feature button, and we'll do up to surface, and we'll cut it. Cool. Double check that ISO. We're not going to show you the weight and properties and all that, because we are going to put that as basically like a way to test you guys. Go double check the comments. It will be in the comment area. It will be in the description of the video at the bottom. Build the part first off the drawing, see if you can do it. Then watch the video if you couldn't, and then double check the mass properties. And if you still messed up somewhere in there, double check it all. And if something's still wrong, put a comment down and be like, you screwed up, buddy. That's completely fine with me. I get it. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm making these videos to, show that I know what I'm talking about and to help people know what they're talking about. And, we're not always perfect. So, all right, check those things out, guys. I'll have that in the description. If you guys have any questions, let me know. One thing I did want to mention that I kind of forgot in the drawing right here at the end. It's kind of a messy drawing. You want to make yours prettier. There's other ways to make this pretty. This could work here because then it shows both of them. Things like that. Just to be thinking about. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you.